My name is Edith Young. I'm a partner at 500 Startups. Actually spent half of my time in China and half of my time, this month I'm actually in San Francisco, but last month mainly in Hong Kong and Beijing. So really quick introduction of 500 in case that you don't know. We're no longer just 500 startups. We are 2,000 startups, but it's too late for us to change the name, so we stick with 500 startups. Out of the 2,000 startups, we have about 6 unicorn in the fiat world. Twilio Sangre, the first couple of our IPOs, Credit Karma, Grab Taxi, which is the Uber Southeast Asia, Canva, Intercom are 6 unicorn. And on the crypto side of things, what's been interesting was that a few years ago, I got the chance to invest in the equity side of Stellar. And then our Thailand partner also got the chance to invest in the equity of Omise, which later on turned into Omise Go. So a couple of these projects, which turned into huge token projects, but honestly, our partnership didn't really quite understand it. Until early last year, I was in Beijing. And this is a really quick story, I swear to God, and I will go into the token projects. Early last year, I was in Beijing, and some of my old friends from Ant Financial wanted to start new projects. And one of the guy was trying to tell me that I don't need money because he was the original writer for the Ant Shares white paper. For those of you who in crypto for a while, Ant Share later on renamed to Neo. But I didn't understand that. So long story short, I came into California and talked to some of my friends, and they basically explained to me what Antshare Neo was, and I'm like, oh my God. And long story short, that became a project called Nebulous. So today is a very special day. It's probably the worst day for a long time in terms of crypto. But I still wanted to convince you guys why it's very exciting to look at token project. But to start, I'm not a lawyer and I am not a financial advisor. Everything that I'm sharing with you today is my own personal viewpoint. Okay, so I don't want anybody to be in jail, and neither am I. So and I think this cat is really cute, so that's why I want to put it up there. But by the way, I was backstage preparing, and I just literally 5 minutes ago checked CoinMarketCap. And yesterday, it was still above 200 billion in terms of combined market cap. Right now, it's below 200 billion. It's pretty bad today. But having said that, what's been really interesting in terms of sort of early stage, you can call it private sale, pre-sale, there's so many different words these days. I've been spending a lot of my time in the past year looking at so early projects. Some of those actually have raised more funding in 2017, and in fact, 2018 is already have exceeded all the 2017 combined ICO and pre-sale at the billions. So this method of fundraising, I do believe is continued to stay. Even though today is really bad, I do believe the future of blockchain, and there will be more and more interesting projects still continue to raise token. And then right now, even though it's quite bad, there's over 1,600 token projects that's being listed in all kind of various different exchanges. Even though if you look at CoinMarketCap, there's like over 10,000 exchanges, but really in my head, it's really about 20 to 30 that really truly move the needles. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of project raised ICO, but many of them, I still feel like at least 99% of them are all sort of scam, spammy, and many of them are very consumer focused. But frankly, I think that blockchain is so early stage that it's very hard to get to the B2C stage. And in fact, if you look at the most sort of talk about dApp like CryptoKitties and many of these games, they're really in the hundreds in terms of daily active users, so it's still really early stage. But the type of project that we've been focusing on is more on the infrastructure level. Security, identity, scalability, privacy are the type of project that we've been actively looking at and investing. Just to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of sort of the state of crypto before we go into the details of how we look at some of these projects. This is, as of yesterday, the top 10 most traded currency. Bitcoin is interesting. It's still kind of hold up around 6,000, but Ethereum is about 250, I think, right now. And then the top 10 crypto exchanges, and one of the reasons why I've been spending more and more time in Asia, particularly on Hong Kong, Singapore, is because if you look at some of the top most traded, these are I haven't checked today, but many of them, at least the top 3, usually trade a little over 1 billion trading volume per day. Binance, OKEX, Huobi are all Chinese, and some of them are from Korea. Some of them, actually, I found out a couple of these actually from Russia, and these are all like super highly traded exchanges, and many of them are in Asia. So I definitely see a lot of activities going over there, and if not even more than here. And there are many crypto funds. I've been called, I'm the classic VC multiple times these days. And obviously there's a lot of really interesting crypto hedge fund, regardless it's in the Valley or in China. And in fact, a lot of these exchanges, particularly the Asian one, are all actively invested in token projects now. So there are definitely, the tier 1, I feel, in terms of actively investing in crypto are no longer sort of the blue chip, like say Sequoia, Greylock benchmark, as actually this new class, a super interesting crypto hedge fund, we all started within the last 24 months that have done really, really well in terms of return. All right, so now I'm going to go through, and which, by the way, this is all available on SlideShare, so feel free to download. You don't have to take pictures. I'm going to go through sort of the top 10 things that we look at when we evaluate a token project. So for 500, we actively invest, but we actually also partner up with Huobi earlier this year, sort of excuse for us to look at projects. But I think later on this year, we'll partner with another exchange just to sort of really help our companies to understand the listing process. All right, let's start with question number 1. What is the purpose of this project and token? This is Jackie Chan, by the way. Why do you actually even exist, right? I really feel like a lot of times there's so many shitcoin, and excuse my language, there's just so many like random coin, like Trump coin, Kanye coin, whatever, like you name it. And some of them I think is hilarious, but frankly, many of them, and don't get me wrong, I actually think that when I first started learning about all this, I really thought, and me too, this is just another way, just like a Kickstarter, right? It's just another way of raising money. But it really is not. And in fact, let's see, I gave a couple of examples why this token even exists, right? So Ethereum, ETH is like a gas, right? Or Stellar really explained that like the Stellar token is act as insurance. So they're a really good example of why this token exists. And my misunderstanding at the very beginning, which leads to many of our fiat portfolio will come back to us and say, hey, I want to raise token. I'm like, why? And the reason for that is not that they couldn't raise money. In fact, this past 12 months been doing really, really well. But I learn a lot more from my crypto exchanges friends. Many of these tokens, they would never list any of these, because the token itself have no true utility. Even though they usually use ERC20 and call it that, oh, this is really, it's utility, but that is really not. It smells like security. If you do smell like security, I can guarantee you at least the top 10 crypto-to-crypto exchanges would never list you. And if that's the case, and an investor, why would I invest? Right? So you got to be careful, even though I do believe a lot of the intention for these project owners are pure. They really believe that the token, we can use it somehow. But if you're truly sort of like a loyalty points or just purely like discounted service coin, the likelihood of that being listed on a crypto exchange is not high, unless you're Binance and Huobi and okay, their own coin is a different story. But even that, you don't see a Binance coin being listed anywhere else. So you got to really kind of think about and encourage all your friends, think through, you don't want to be another shitcoin. All right, question number 2 is, are there similar projects out there? So unfortunately, as much as I really like looking at CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, some really good data site, there isn't a true App Annie or the mobile action type in the mobile world for token yet, right? But at the same time, let's say, for example, right, I've been actually spending more time in looking at scalability related projects. And because we talk to so many, we realize, oh my God, like the way that you do sharding is sort of similar to these other projects. But it's not that you Google and you can find it. You actually do, it's not like a website per se would tell you, oh, all the privacy related project is this. You actually do have to do a little bit of digging, look through a lot of CoinDesk or Cointelegraph, many of these publications that sort of mention Crypto Briefing is actually a really good site that do review. But you really have to manually look through it. And there's not like a side-by-side comparison per se. But at the same time, I put it out there now because there are more and more projects that are actually quite similar. And especially the ones that are already listed. What that means is you can go on there and sort of look at the cap, right, of that type of project. If that particular project that you're looking at is already been traded, let's say at like 200 million, and this particular project you're looking at now is raising 100 at 500, so the likelihood of return is not very high for you. You just have to be very conscious about like what other projects that are similar out there. Number 3, is this team legit, right? This is actually the most important, I think, of all things. Doesn't matter your fiat or token projects. There are many sort of crypto native, just really hardcore blockchain people, and there are a whole bunch of other out there who just want to tokenize. There's nothing wrong with it, but you just really need to understand what type of background of people that fit for the type of project that you build in. So I feel like whenever I'm doing these background checks, I'm like CIA. And I will go through all kind of websites and really trying to understand, if this particular person had the right background for this project. And by the way, even though I mentioned earlier, I focus on infrastructure, I've been looking more and more in NFT or gaming related things. And if you have never spent any time in gaming, you're definitely not qualified to work on a gaming token. And it's really easy to check out, right? Have you worked on any gaming startup or platforms or some of the well-known names that they understand game operations? So at the end of the day, so I sort of list out on the left-hand side sort of the US, all these ways that you can do CIA stuff, and then on the right-hand side is all the Asian ones. So you can really check out, what kind of footprint did they have online. And let's say, for example, this is the founder I mentioned earlier. He was also the co-founder of Neo, and later on, I would talk really fast on Nebulous. So for him, you can definitely see he have a lot of opinions. You can see his code on GitHub. They're definitely actively contributing. All right, number 4 is, does that blockchain solution make sense? Do you really need blockchain for it? It's when you look at the awesome white paper. And there's a whole list of things that how the system actually works. Do you really need the token? What's the allocation? What the economics? There's a lot of things that you can actually really study. I still think the best white paper is the Bitcoin white paper, and this is all the list of white paper if you want to check out to put yourself to sleep. All right. And again, I sort of give example of, certain developers have really contribute a lot on GitHub and other ways that you can check out different projects. All right, I'm going to go really, really fast because I don't have a lot of time. Do they have strong community support? Everybody wanted to be cool. Like you look at on Reddit, on Telegram, on various different, on Twitter, various different places to check out how active this community is. But sometimes I have to say, all these community fans could be bought. They're a brand new industry that particularly do PR and community building where you can just buy all these fans. So you really have to sort of pay attention to the type of conversation that they have on these platforms. And then what is the token allocation? So this is just example of various different allocations and how they sort of present it. You really have to think through, okay, do 50% all go back to the original company? So obviously they're just raising money because they couldn't raise any more from the fiat world. Or are they truly trying to build a open source protocol where majority of these tokens go back to the community? So you really have to think through the psychology behind all these token allocation. What is their milestone and timeline? Well, most of the time, we would like to see testnet, mainnet, when you're going to do beta launch. And you usually probably don't want to talk about when you're going to list. But of course, all these founders will talk about it. But you wanted to see a really, really clear roadmap. Okay, number 8, financial terms. Most of the projects, unfortunately, don't accept Americans or Chinese investors. And I swear to God, like every single deal I've done in the last 8 months is either in Cayman or Singapore, in Switzerland, whatever, some Cook Islands, I have never been to any of these countries. That's not true, but never been to Cook Island. But still, it's just crazy. And then there's a whole list of like, what's the cap, what's the discount, what's the bonus, and all kind of financial related things you should be super clear in asking when you are, potentially investing in these projects. All right, 2 more points and I'm done. Who else are investing and involved, right? A lot of times there's definitely social proof. You wanted to see who they are and make sure that, they are legit and good advisors. Do they have all the legal documents ready to go? This is all the checklists that you need to see just to make sure that they are not just going to take your money and run away. Scam alert, I definitely do not endorse. It's just weird that you see all these celebrities endorsing. They ask you for all kind of information online. No legit project will ever do that. And in fact, most of the good projects do full-blown KYC now. You definitely can't just wanted to invest because you want to. To end, these are the top 10 things that we look for our token projects. I think crypto future is continuing to be really, really bright, and this is my contact info. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. That was perfect.